that little third gear problem ended up being a bigger problem. They put a starter on it, and it hasn't been right since. Well, you want to take it for a drive?
I sure do. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is cool. This is a very nice car.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, it's fast, isn't it?
Oh, it's got power to spare. Holy cow. On this episode of Chase Classic Motors, we're clearing the classic car courtroom to welcome a new presiding justice.
All rise.
As one of the founding members of Detroit's muscle car wars, the Pontiac GTO was a high-class hero car designed to deal out street justice thanks to its lightweight and large power plant. And when it came time to passing sentence on the street, few were as well courted as the one they called the Judge.
This court has been called in session to pass judgment on a special new car from Pontiac. All rise for the judge.
Judge, the special great one from Pontiac GTO.
With its flashy red paint, killer styling, brutal performance, and upscale high-speed options, this 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge is a member of muscle car royalty and our customers' pride and joy. Unfortunately, the last shop to turn wrenches on this Judge nearly caused a mistrial by damaging the starter motor and the ring gear.
What the hell was that?
A very good question, Your Honor, as this will not only set the owner back financially, but it seems to have sent this case into a long and challenging appeal, for us at least.
Now you can finger pop, you can even swing, but you going to jail for doing your thing. Here come the judge. Here come the judge. Here come the judge.
That will give Eric a chance to sift through the evidence to discover how this prestigious judge landed in such a troublesome jurisdiction. And along the way, we'll have a chance to pilot a member of the famed muscle car fleet, one that we've always wanted to test drive. To find out once and for all if Pontiac's eccentric jurist is truly worth the cost of its high-priced defense team.
Would you like me to explain?
I would love to hear this.
So would we. So let's have some order in the court and bring in all of our witnesses and bits of evidence to present our case about the most celebrated jurist in all of Detroit. Let's all rise for the judge today on Chase Classic Motors. Well, we don't get a lot of GMs here at the shop and even fewer Pontiacs, but this one, Eric, I am very excited about because this is a 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. It is the Judge.
Yeah, this is I still think the coolest car we ever had in here was that 79 Eldorado, but I'm crazy. This is the coolest car we've had in here since we had the 1970 Challenger RTSC Hemi.
It is a very cool car. It is part of not only the classic muscle car wars, it is a part of American popular culture because in the late 60s, as the car companies were vying for popularity and trying to attract people into the dealerships, they were partnering with some pop culture media icons. Plymouth had come out with the Roadrunner in 1968 and was using the popular Roadrunner and Coyote characters from Warner Brothers in order to promote that line of cars, and its commercials were very popular.
Just look what
So Pontiac or GM thought, well, maybe we can do the same thing and find something that was in popular culture and in media at the time. So before Saturday Night Live existed, our grandparents were watching a popular sketch comedy show known as Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. And one of the characters was portrayed by legendary song and dance man Sammy Davis Jr., and he played the part of an eccentric, wacky judge. And the popular tagline was, well, here comes the judge.
It's America's favorite judge, the Right Honorable Samuel Davis Jr.
You can testify, but you just can't win, because I'm here to tell you guilty as sin. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge.
And then Sammy Davis Jr. would sow disorder in his own court and make fun of people and just to have crazy comedic antics.
All right, order in the court. The Right Honorable Samuel Davis Jr. presiding.
Hey, but, Judge, if you repossess my car, you're cutting off my source of income.
You mean you use it in your work?
No, I use it to get to the unemployment office.
You should have said that.
It looks like GM, in an effort to come out with their own stylish and eccentric king of the road muscle car, used that iconic character in order to attract people to the dealerships by using the name. What else do we know about this particular GTO Judge, Eric?
I know that the customer had one, and I believe the one he had when he was younger was a Judge, if I remember the whole story. He's had to sell it for whatever reason, marriage, kids, whatever, and he bought this, I think he said, what, maybe 10 years ago or something?
Right after the 2000s, so around 20 years ago.
Oh, wow, okay. And so this really is his baby.
Sounds like you got your car back. You bet, and a brand new alarm system to go with it, too. The Danny-mobile is ready to roll.
It's a 4-speed. It's pretty darn stock. I notice he's got a cam and lifters in the trunk, so I'm not sure if he put in a performance cam at some point and that's the original one or whatever. I don't know.
To be fair, we haven't actually heard this car run yet because of why it's in here.
Yes, so the story is, at least the story as far as I know it, he has been taking this car to another shop for a long time, probably since he first got it. The older tech that used to work there, that used to work on this car, retired. He took it there, they put a starter on it, and it hasn't been right since. And I'm not sure exactly how, by looking at this car, I think there's a bit more to that story than he's telling us.
You say anything about that and I'll do you for treason.
Because there's stuff in here that is screwed up so that I don't think he was driving it that way. I think someone took it apart and didn't put it back together that way. And if all they were doing was a starter, then they had no business working on that. But I don't know. Obviously, there's something that we don't know going on somewhere.
Right, there are often holes to the story when a car
There's
comes
definitely
in.
some holes here.
And, you know, this car, earlier, we can cut to the clip of this car coming in, being loaded up at the customer's home. Again, he is a veteran of the Vietnam War, won several medals for his service, is an absolutely loyal, dyed-in-the-wool patriotic American, and this was his first car when he came home after surviving the war and had a bit of military cash left over in his pocket from his deployment, and he must have seen this on TV or in the showrooms and thought, what a cool car, that's the car for me.
Ooh, it is a very cool car. And, you know, as you were saying, we don't get a lot of GM products in here. I think we get a decent amount, but we tend to get a lot more Chrysler products because we're known for our police cars. Chrysler made so many police cars in the 70s. We got so many friends and family members that have Mopars, but it's really cool, I think, comparing like interiors and GM products to how, all the Chrysler products I'm familiar with. We had an Olds Cutlass in here, 71 Cutlass in here a few months ago that I sat in that car, I was like, wow, this is such a nice car. And I kind of get the same feeling about this one.
And yes, no offense to the popularity and the enjoyment available in something like a Plymouth Roadrunner, but the fit and finish of this car, inside and out, is really quite impressive to me for the time.
Yeah, for the time, and it's
Pontiac was a bit of an upmarket brand.
Yes.
I want to say by comparison, and for them to have taken on such a playful persona based off a popular sketch comedy character, I think is pretty endearing.
Defense?
Your Honor. Look at his face. Is that the face of a noisy dog? No, this is the face of a good dog. A good doggy.
But yeah, let's take a look inside.
So I got things apart right now because the transmission's out of it, but it is a 4-speed. Handle's sitting on the seat there. Lock nut for it's on the floor. But yeah, it's a nice car. Black is not one of my favorite colors for car interiors, but on a muscle car or a sports car, it's perfect.
It does. This car is even accentuated by the black stripes. And check out that black tachometer gauge. But as I recall, these are functional Ram air scoops.
I believe they are. Yeah, they are. You can tell.
And under the hood here is what made the Judge so impressive out on the street and made for some courtroom drama, as one might say. It is the 400 high output V8, pumping out about 360 or 366 horsepower for the time. So this car had the performance, it had the style, it had the looks, it had a popular media figure as its image. So everything about it, inside and out, just made it a real sales hit when it debuted. And this is a 1969 model, which means that it's, I believe, the only year for the rear wing spoiler.
I like the wheels on it too. That brings me back to my days just out of high school. I worked at a tire shop and we'd been in business a long time and we had all kinds of wheels. So yeah, I used to look in our stock for matching sets of whatever rally wheels we had, whether they were Pontiac rallies or Chevy rallies or even just 6-slot Chrysler police car wheels. And I'd find a set and spin them on the machine and make sure that they were straight, and then I would clean them up and paint them. Although I gotta say, my boss eventually lost patience with me because it would take me about 2 weeks to do a set of wheels because I would get in all the nooks and crannies and get all the rust out, and I'd prime them inside, outside, face, backside barrel, everything. I'd paint the whole thing. I'd carefully mask this off because you can see this is like a lighter silver and a darker silver, and I'd clear coat it. So it would take me about 2 weeks. Well, my boss eventually pushed me aside and started doing it himself, but he'd only do the face, so.
Well, it's that kind of attention to detail why the customers are bringing you a car like this.
Yeah.
It's a fun car. I'm really excited to have it here. It's one of those icons, one of those legends of the muscle car war era here in Detroit. And I'm looking forward to learning more about why it is that this Judge came to us in such a state of contempt.
Yeah, like I said, there's something going on here that we weren't entirely privy to. Either the owner's not telling us the whole story, or he doesn't know the whole story.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Because there's stuff that someone, there's no way he was driving the car that way. The fuel system is messed up on this car right now. And as far as we know, it went in for a starter. So why the fuel system is messed up and it's leaking from random places, I have no idea.
I hate to say this, but it sounds like somebody is either guilty or not guilty.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be up to the Judge to help us find out and make a decision.
That is a lucid, intelligent, well thought out objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Well, here comes the Judge.
So I made some progress on this. Got the trans out. I still had to pull the clutch off. Have a look at that. The flywheel is messed up though.
So I'm interested in this manual transmission. Most of the cars we work on here always tend to be automatics. But you were telling me there is a way to separate this manual transmission from the rest of the car.
Is this man removing evidence from the scene of a crime?
Well, yeah, when you do a clutch, and I have to replace a flywheel on this car. So it's like doing a clutch, basically. So the bell housing bolts on here. So I unbolted the trans off the bell housing and got it out of the car. Drive shaft is on the ground over there. And yeah, now I just gotta take off the bell housing and the flywheel, separate the clutch from the flywheel, see if that's in good shape. I think it is. It looks, well, it's hard to tell still, but we'll find out. If it needs it, it needs it. I won't know till I get there. But the throwout bearing looks like someone was messing with it recently. There's grease on it that, looks pretty fresh. So someone was in there already. All we know is that the last shop tried to put a starter on this, it didn't work. It's ruined the flywheel. The owner of the car lost faith in the shop, and so here it is. He towed it away from them broken because he didn't want them hurting his baby anymore.
And this Judge was probably close to giving them a conviction, or at the very least, the Judge is holding that former shop in contempt. We know the owner is.
Call this a court.
Call this a court.
Call this a court. Call this a court.
Shut up!
So, well, this is interesting, Eric. I'll be interested to see what happens once we take a peek at the underside, under the bench of this 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge in just a moment. Well, Eric, now that we've got the Judge in the air, let's see if we can get to the bottom of some of the facts of this case.
Yeah.
What's your evidence?
Well, the teeth on the flywheel are definitely in bad shape. They're pretty chewed up. You can see metal flakes, you know, on the bell housing of the trans there.
Definitely. Let's call that Exhibit A.
Yeah. When this car was towed here, the guy literally handed us the starter off the car. This is what he handed us. And allegedly this is what the car went in for in the first place, was there the starter replaced. This obviously is not the original starter for this car. This is, you know, some kind of lightweight, go fast kind of thing. And the teeth are chewed up on this too pretty good, actually. I didn't know, look at that. That one tooth there is just flat. I mean, not totally flat, but it's had a bad day.
Ow! Ow! What? My tooth! It's come loose! It hurts!
You can see where it's rounded off.
So, you know, when you put starters like this in a GM car, very often you have to shim them. But man, this had to be tight. Also, we didn't get any starter bolts. You know, they're not in the car, they're not in the starter, they're not in the trunk. I mean, I didn't look everywhere. Maybe they're in the glove box or something, but that's not a big deal. You know, Dorman makes starter bolts for these cars last time I checked. So, you know, I can get them, they're not expensive. May have to shim them, but I'm gonna try to find a correct starter for this car. Maybe not, you know, numbers matching date coded perfect unless that's what the customer wants, but it will be, you know, the big correct starter for this car, and it's definitely gonna work and fit better than that one. I haven't taken the bell housing off yet. I haven't taken the clutch off yet. I'm gonna end up replacing the flywheel. I've already got one in the box over there. Fuel system, it's been leaking kind of almost intermittently over here, and you can see fuel residue on the bottom of the gas tank.
I can see some above your head as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, right there. So.
And that is not a clean color either.
No, not really. Now,
starting to wonder if there's some varnish in that tank.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check into it. The tank is definitely, probably, I think this is a reproduction replacement someone put in not too long ago. How long has the car actually been sitting? How old is that gas? I don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, look at her. She's old. You can't just take her stuff. She's too old.
But it's been leaking over here for some reason, which also is where the sending unit is, I believe.
And what's so strange in this case is that the tank is leaking intermittently. It didn't leak at all at the owner's house, and yet when we put it on the flatbed, it started leaking. And, excuse me, it was dry when we first put it on the flatbed, but when we had the operator unload the car here at our workshop, it started gushing fuel.
Yeah, when he put the bed down and the car was facing downwards, it started leaking fuel real bad from the left front. So, I don't know what's going on there.
And ever since,
I'll figure it out.
We've had some unwelcome surprises, shall we say. Little spots of puddles of fuel here and there, while this car has sat perfectly level on this lift.
Yeah, I put it up on the lift. Everything was fine for hours. Went home, came back the next day, and it left a puddle.
I'll give you $5 to not do what you're thinking about doing. You just lost $5.
And while I was here, when you weren't here, I heard a little gurgling noise. I was like, what was that? And then all of a psst sound. And then all of a sudden, I saw fuel dripping onto my nice clean floor. And I wasn't very happy about that, particularly if there was a car underneath it.
No.
You never know what to expect from this wacky old jurist.
So, I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of that.
But I see you've got the bell housing opened up there. Now, you had described that there was a way of separating this manual transmission, this 4-speed.
Well, yeah. When you do
on
a car like this, and really pretty much, just about anything except like a newer front-wheel drive car or something, you take the trans off, You take the bell housing off, and then the flywheel and the clutch are gonna be underneath that. I'm gonna take that apart and we'll see how bad the clutch is. Flywheel's getting replaced because the teeth are chewed up. Maybe we can reuse the clutch. The throwout bearing looks very new. I kind of think that the place that did the starter was doing the clutch too, because this looks pretty new from what I can see. I think the flywheel, I don't know, I'll have to take it apart. The clutch looks pretty new. So if this car wasn't even run before this all got screwed up, then maybe the clutch is okay and we can reuse it. I'll have to take it apart.
Well, it sounds like there's a bit more evidence and investigation required to get to the bottom of this case with this 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. Pick this up again, Eric. Good luck with your investigation.
All right, thanks.
So while Eric continues working on this famous jurist, let's examine the evidence to see how the GTO Judge made it all the way to the bench.
I find it hard to believe.
The GTO was the brainchild of Pontiac's all-star engineer and fun-loving frontman John DeLorean, whose fame as an automotive designer and visionary was cemented decades before the time-traveling wonder car he is best remembered for.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
As a young maverick auto executive, DeLorean wanted to push Pontiac as a performance brand. He envisioned a line of performance cars with small bodies and big V8s that would give young customers what they wanted most. Power! The only problem was that General Motors brass didn't want its divisions dropping large displacement V8s into their smaller range of cars. They had even gone so far as to ban its marketing teams from participating in motor racing altogether. So how could Pontiac possibly build a performance car like the GTO and attract younger buyers with limitations like these?
Would you like me to explain?
I would love to hear this.
DeLorean and his team recognized that while their smaller cars had limits on engine size, there was no rule about offering a bigger V8 as an option. Pontiac's youngbloods knew that they wanted to create a special version of their smaller car, one that could take the power of the big 389, but keep the smaller design traits used in the Y-platform cars, such as
The 1963 Pontiac Tempest.
As one of GM's more successful compact cars, the Tempest was restyled for 1964 as an intermediate A-body and was available with the optional Le Mans trim package. With this sportier package, buyers could then upgrade to the performance option, which was the GTO.
And now for something especially exciting. The GTO option.
The name GTO is based on the famous Ferrari 250 GTO, a full-on racing car that was the toast of European GT racing in the early 60s and a world champion endurance racer. GTO stands for Grand Tour Homologated in English. This was the build quota required to qualify a production model for European racing. DeLorean and his team were inspired enough by these indomitable race cars to focus on creating a light and fast intermediate that would accelerate the Pontiac image towards driving excitement. And the GTO managed to do just that. When it debuted in 1964, the pumped-up 6.5-liter Le Mans smashed all sales expectations. DeLorean's gamble had paid off, and his career at GM flourished. For 1966, the GTO was so successful that it was spun off as its own model. No longer just an option package, Pontiac themselves referred to the GTO as the Tiger, but fans already had another name for the car, one that stuck almost immediately.
Now there's a pretty hungry little billy goat. Go.
By 1968, the Pontiac GTO was revving up and rocking out all across America. And it's easy to see why. When it came to an all-around combination of performance, stylish appearance, upscale appointments, and trendy packaging, the Pontiac GTO was tough to beat. And of course, only true car guys could recognize a special car like the Judge.
Oh, right, because I'm Amish, so I wouldn't know anything about your 69 GTO Judge. 455 big block, Ram Air, 411 Posse, something like that? Weird, that thing must have fallen straight from space.
And while the GTO was racking up sales and laying down rubber across Main Street, the muscle car market was reaching its zenith. And that also meant that the competition was getting tough. So to attract new buyers and shine fresh attention on the GTO name, Pontiac introduced the Judge Edition for the '69 model year. It was bold, It was brash, and with 400 cubic inches and ram air up front, there was no mistaking the Judge out on the street. With less than 10% of the 69 GTOs wearing the red robes of the Judge Edition, they were easy to spot in traffic.
Is that it?
No, there's more.
Stylish, trendy, and purposely ostentatious, the Judge exemplified muscle car flair. However, while they were celebrated and prized in their day, the GTO Judge was also a bit more opulent compared to most muscle cars in 1969, which followed the drag racing principle that less is more.
You know what you forgot to do? You forgot to buckle up.
Instead, the Judge followed its own road and blazed a path that said that more is more. Indeed, with its higher price point and deluxe trim features, the Judge was more of an upper crust muscle car than a taxi packaged intermediate with a giant V8. Of course, with its perforated ram air scoops and its happy-go-lucky attitude, no one would consider the Judge to be a society snob.
Well, we're waiting.
Yet by 1971, the rise of the Judge was indeed over. GTO sales were on the decline, and despite the attention generated by the Judge, market forces and government regulations summoned the beginning of the end of the muscle car's reign. From then on, the Judge would reign only in the court of nostalgia. So now that we've studied all the legal briefs on the GTO, let's catch up with Eric and see how the work is coming along, and we'll find out if this Judge will be able to rule from the bench once again.
To recap, the problem that he brought it in with originally was that the starter wasn't engaging properly. The car was towed here, this starter was just handed to us, it wasn't on the car anymore. Must not have been shimmed right, it definitely wasn't fitting the car properly because it destroyed the ring gear. So I took everything apart, ordered a new ring gear for the flywheel, and the flywheel, I mean the clutch is pretty new, but the flywheel did have some blue spots on it from heat. And it's just stupid. It probably would have been okay if I'd put it back the way it was. But I don't like probably. You know, I'm sure this customer's not gonna want, you know, probably either. It's almost July, we're well into car show season. He hasn't been able to enjoy his car yet. I'm sure he wants it just to be right.
That's right.
So I actually drove the old ring gear off of this flywheel with just a hammer and a chisel. I took the flywheel to a machine shop and they put a new surface on it. Believe it or not, I got the ring gear on the flywheel by putting the ring gear in my oven, baking at 450 degrees for half an hour, and then I just, you know, I was wearing oven mitts and I put it on and it just I just pushed it and it went on.
At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen. Yes.
So, I don't know, they're just letting you know that's how that went.
So you can save time by cooking your personal pan pizza and fixing your transmission at the same time. That's quite the top tip.
Well, I'm just saying that because it didn't, I mean, this is the first time I've ever replaced a ring gear on a flywheel. I've always either replaced a flywheel or resurfaced the old one and the ring gear was fine, so I never had to replace one before. You can't just press them on, or at least not that one you couldn't. The fit was just too tight. But when I cooked it, it almost fell on. I was surprised how easy it went on. And then, you know, seconds after it went on, I can hear it shrinking and going tink, 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 tink as it cools off and, you know, fuses basically. I'm sure it's an extremely tight fit now. I got a new clutch kit for it, so I'm gonna be replacing the clutch and the pressure plate, which is a bit of a shame because they're pretty new. You can tell there's not hardly any miles on them, but there is heat.
Seymour, the house is on fire!
No, Mother, it's just the Northern Lights.
So, you know, there's some blue spots on there, and I don't want to do this over, and I don't want the customer to have any problems. So we're just going to do it right. You know, the labor is the expensive part. The parts aren't as expensive as the labor, so you don't want to do this over. In the long run, this is the cheapest way to do the best job. What else? I clean this up in the parts washer. I clean that up in the parts washer. Yeah, we're just about ready to start putting it back together, actually.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and pick this up as soon as you're ready to reassemble the transmission in the 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge.
flywheel on. When I bought the new clutch, I got a whole kit. The clutch, the pilot bearing, the pressure plate, a throwout bearing, and of course it did come with an alignment tool. It was a little tricky to get the right clutch. They sent me the wrong one at first. It was too many splines. This one's got the 10 spline. So here's the clutch alignment tool that came with it. Just putting it up there, and now it's time to bolt on my pressure plate.
Is there anything special about that alignment tool? How it works?
I mean, here's how it works. This end here is the right size to fit inside the pilot bearing, and then it's got the right number of splines in it to fit on this clutch, which fits on the transmission for the car. So, you know, and then you just assemble it like this. Make sure that the right side of the clutch is facing the engine, because if you put it on backwards, this will rub on the back of the crankshaft. So make sure you got it on the right way. And then this goes into the pilot bearing.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, man.
There we go. And I'm just gonna leave the alignment tool on there while I put the pressure plate on. And then once the pressure plate is bolted on, I can pull the alignment tool out and I can put the rest of the car back together.
Fantastic, Eric. Well, let's keep going.
All right.
Chase Classic Motors Court is now in session.
It's always a pleasure to be hauled up before you.
What's the verdict, Eric, on the 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge?
It lives.
It lives again. Tell us what happened.
So of course this car was towed to us. I don't remember how long it's been since it ran, but it's been at least a year. I think it's been longer than that. I think it's been a couple years. Came to us with the starter in a box. I checked it out and the ring gear on the flywheel was mangled. So I took it apart. I sent the flywheel out to be resurfaced. I put a new clutch on it while it was apart, put a new ring gear on it. Got a starter for it, which I had some trouble with. I'm not sure what's going on there. A starter we got from a big box auto parts store didn't fit. Went on eBay and found a starter that was correct for a 69 GTO with a 400 and a 4-speed, and it didn't fit either. So I ended up getting a high performance, lightweight, small compact starter, and that fit. That was a little bit harder to set up because the bracket that it comes with, you have to orient it the right way and measure it with feeler gauges, and sometimes you got to shim it. This one I did not have to shim. It was better without the shim. But then that got it cranking. And then after that, I still had a few more problems with it. We didn't know how much gas was in it, and we knew that the gas that was in it was old too. The spark plugs were in pretty good shape and new, but they were fouled. So I actually took them out, put them in our ultrasonic cleaner to clean them up, regapped them and put them back in. While they were out, I cranked the engine a little bit. I thought it might be getting too much gas. So I just wanted to kind of work some air through it, and if there was anything in the cylinders to blow it out while the plugs are out, but nothing came out.
Hey, this is a fascinating story, really, and I mean that. But in the interest of time, what the hell is the case?
Oh, the distributor was nowhere near right. It doesn't have the original distributor in it. The original distributor is in a box in the trunk. So someone took off the points type distributor and put on an electronic ignition one, and it was nowhere near clocked right. It wasn't like it was 180 out, but it was, I had to turn it a good 30 degrees at least to get the car to start. And then after that it started, and now it runs. So there's still a couple of details to do on it, a couple of little things, but it drives.
Well, that's great news. And I know you really had to, if I can use another judicial proceeding pun here, you really needed to dig into that evidence and figure out what was going on with those long exhaust flange bolts and making contact with that, what we thought was a factory NOS starter motor. And evidently, do you believe that there was aftermarket exhaust put on this at some point?
No, I don't think the exhaust pipes have anything to do with it. I think maybe this car's got the wrong exhaust manifolds on it, or maybe the engine's been rebuilt and, you know, maybe they've very aggressively shaved metal off the top of the block, the deck of the block, and the bottom of the head, and off the exhaust manifolds, and the combination of everything just tightened everything up, and now the starter doesn't fit. I don't know.
But we ended up pretty much in the same situation that the previous shop did.
Yeah, except that the previous shop put a small lightweight starter on it, and for whatever reason mangled the pinion gear on the starter and mangled the ring gear on the flywheel.
I'm looking for a murderer.
So I'm not sure what they did wrong. I didn't bother to dig into it.
But you've already pronounced sentence, and it's guilty as charged.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't have to mess with the starter I put on here very much, because there's a few different ways you adjust it. Of course, you can adjust it where it bolts to the engine block, just like any GM starter, but the starter itself also bolts into a big, like, billet bracket, and there's a shim you can put in there that comes with the starter to give you your depth with the starter pinion and the ring gear. You can also clock the starter relative to that bolt, or relative to that billet bracket. Now, right out of the box, I actually didn't have to do much. It pretty much just bolted right on without any shims or anything. Maybe the last shop read the directions with the starter and didn't understand it, and they put in too many shims or something. I don't know. When this car came here, the starter wasn't even on the car. It was loose. So I don't know what happened, but the pinion gear on the starter they gave us was destroyed, and the ring gear on this car was mangled. So, but it works now.
It does, and as a result, this aging but eccentric jurist is ready to rule the streets of Metro Detroit once again.
Yeah.
And pronounce sentence on some of those other gearheads out there.
Well, you want to take it for a drive?
I sure do. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is cool. This is a very nice car. Ready?
Ready as I'll ever be. It's time to pronounce sentence on the '69 GTO Judge. Let's see how it does.
It's interesting that it's got the hood-mounted tack, and it works.
Oh, what a great sound.
This is pretty cool. I mean, we get a decent amount of muscle cars here, but it's always cool when we get a muscle car. I mean, I don't think we've ever had any cars at the shop that I didn't like, at least to some degree, but this is my first time driving a GTO, and to have it be a '69 Judge is just really cool, and a 4-speed.
Everything about this car just exudes coolness.
Mm-hmm. Feels like it might need a front end alignment. It's wandering a little bit, and I did check it while it was up in the air and make sure that it, you know, didn't have any loose parts, which it doesn't. But you can tell the outside edges of the front tires are stepped a little bit, which is a sign of it kind of needing a toe adjustment. So we'll probably let the customer know about that, but he's really anxious to get this car back, and unfortunately I know that the repairs were more involved than he expected it to be.
Yes, he even apologized to us, not realizing the state that this car was left in.
Oh, I hope you told him that that's par for the course.
Yes, and I told him it was not his fault.
Well, all the time it was my fault. Oh, it's so obvious now. I've seen the light. Well, I must be punished then, mustn't I? You're a naughty boy, Faulty. Don't do it.
We get cars all the time that are screwed up by the people that are trying to fix them, and I don't know how they screw it up. I mean, I've never installed a starter like this before, this, lightweight, high torque, high performance starter. So I had to read the directions, but they weren't complicated. So I don't know, maybe they didn't understand the directions or something. I don't know.
Annual meeting of
It's not running perfectly, but it's pretty good. The more I drive it, the better it feels.
And you can feel the power.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not getting on it because this car's got nothing to prove. At this point, its biggest issue with running is just the gas in it is kind of old. It's not ancient, but it is a little old, so.
And talk about nothing to prove. I mean, this car is just muscle car royalty.
Yep.
And we did do a little fact checking. Mm-hmm. The owner was concerned that this may not be an authentic Judge, and he wanted to see if there was anything we could do. Now, the best way to find out, of course, is to contact the Pontiac Historical Society. Send them the VIN number and a credit card or check payment for $15, and they'll give you the full history of the car.
That's not a lot of money to pay for peace of mind.
Absolutely not. But we did some checking based on the cowl tag that is on this car, and we were able to conclude that it is a double 72 paint code Pontiac GTO, which means that it is double upper and lower carousel red, which typically only the Judges would have had. Mm-hmm. So all the circumstantial evidence, if I can use another courtroom synonym, points to this car being an authentic 1969 GTO Judge, and I get the sense that you can definitely feel it in the way it drives.
Yeah, it's a little softer than I thought it would be, but it's not. It's almost on this side of kind of mushy, to be perfectly honest. Rides a bit like a luxury car.
Well, it certainly is upscale. I'm really impressed with just the amount of fit and finish and all of these fantastic accessories that you got as standard. All these deluxe options that came with the Judge.
Yeah, it's a nice car.
These are nice cars. These are luxury automobiles. I got a whole place. They're fully loaded.
They're loaded with dead hookers.
It wouldn't be wrong to call it a personal luxury car.
No, not at all.
It's not quite as nice as that Oldsmobile we had as far as luxury.
Yes.
But it is a very nice car.
Yes, the Cutlass Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
Same era, 69 to 71. Both competing in the muscle car street wars. But this was one of the cars that if you wanted to show off, this was the car to have to stand out in a crowd. No doubt the owner felt that way in 1969 when he came home from Vietnam and decided to buy one of these cars for himself.
I may have to look into that a little bit. What's going on there? Wasn't doing that before. It was... Might have to make a little adjustment. I don't think I'm being too rough with it. The bushings are a little bit tired in the shifter. Alright, I'm sure the people watching probably want to see a big smoky burnout, but this isn't my car. So, and like I say, this car doesn't have anything to prove.
And of course, this being a Judge, we don't want to wind up in criminal court.
Yeah.
Having to pay a fine to a Judge because of a Judge.
$1.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, it's fast, isn't it?
It's got power to spare. Holy cow. Forget the district court. This Judge presides over the circuit or the Supreme Court at this point. I think we can say that this judge has been promoted all the way up to the Supreme Court with performance like that.
And that's with bad gas.
Yes, it is.
Now this car does not have the factory cam in it, I think we can bet. There's a camshaft in the trunk, so I assume the last shop to work on it did that, put a cam in it.
Yeah, it seems like this car was going through several modifications, upgrades, getting put back on the road when the unexpected happened. And
that's a, geez, how did I do that? That's fun.
Well, this has been fun, Eric. What do you say we get a few parting shots of you driving the 1969 GTO Judge for our audience?
All right, I think I know what you got in mind.
And it has been a lot of fun getting to know the 69 GTO, this, the Judge Edition. So we'll be back with another fun classic here at Chase Classic Motors in our next episode. Thanks for everything, Eric. It's been a great time.
Yeah, I'm glad this car's alive again. I'm sure the customer will be too.
I know it was a lot of work, and once again, you pulled out all the stops to make it happen. I'm sure our customer is going to be very proud and very relieved to see this car running strong back in his garage once again.
I hope he comes to the shop and drives it home.
Case closed. How's it feel, Eric?
Pretty good. I want to take a look and see what's going on with the shift linkage. Wasn't doing that before, and I still have a couple of things to tidy up underneath the car too before we give it back to him. So it was going to go up on the lift again anyway.
All right, we'll bring it back in. Well, Eric, I guess we've got our epilogue after that test drive with the GTO.
Yeah, a little bit of bad news. That little third gear problem ended up being a bigger problem. We gave it back to the customer. He drove it for a little while, and then something broke completely, and the car was stuck in reverse. So we had to go get it back, tow it here, and pull the transmission out. Now, we talked to him. He said he had this transmission rebuilt about 20 years ago, and it had always been difficult to get in a third ever since then. So I pulled it out, talked to a couple of people that know these Muncies, and one of them said, oh yeah, I forget which part he said, but there is a part that wears out in these that causes that symptom that wasn't available 20 years ago, but now they reproduce it. I bought a book on rebuilding Muncies. I'm pretty sure I could do it if I wanted to, but we're slammed. And so I'm going to just take this shifter off. I may rebuild the shifter, I'm not sure yet. Some of the bushings are a little tired in the shifter. But the trans itself is gonna go to a friend of ours named Chuck, who does awesome transmission work. And I wouldn't say he specializes in old car transmissions, but he does a lot of them. But he also does a lot of new car transmissions too. And I'm just gonna have him worry about this and get it the way it needs to be, and then we'll put it back in the car and give it back to the customer.
Well, Eric, hopefully, once you're done with that and the transmission is back in, we'll finally get our, what I must call our final verdict with this, the 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. Well, friends and neighbors, after a short sidebar, it wasn't long before our GM transmission expert had the Muncie 4-speed back together and Eric had the Judge ready for a retrial. However, we soon discovered that this Judge was still experiencing trouble with the manual shifter, and it was beginning to feel more and more like a case of judicial misconduct. So we went ahead and filed an emergency motion with the owner to replace the Hirsch shifter linkage. It was now clear that the old set was worn out and binding up, which made grabbing those fresh gears more difficult than winning over a biased jury.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
How could you be so sure?
Fortunately, Eric is never one to give up on a client in need. So after installing the Hirsch Competition Plus shifter kit, the Muncie transmission was back in action and grabbing all 4 gears. At last, the Judge was ready to hear closing arguments. Until finally, we could reunite this wacky jurist with its proud owner, knowing that it had passed our review panel with its signature flying colors. We hope you've enjoyed this trial by fire as we examine the case of the incomparable Pontiac GTO Judge, one of the supreme members of the muscle car wars, and one that epitomizes the legacy and lore of the era. And while this case was full of unexpected twists and turns, we now know that the Judge is worthy of its legions of classic car fans, as we can finally pronounce this incredible muscle car guilty as charged, and sentence it to a lifetime of happy cruising. From all of us at Chase Classic Motors, have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll see you here on the streets of Detroit very soon. If you enjoy automotive content like we do, consider subscribing to our channel, or check out our website to join our VIP-only high-speed chase club for early videos and other great perks.